Welcome back to my channel, AI True Scale. This is Sirisha Ross, your host. Today I'm sitting down with Dr. Jazmin Burns, a clinical psychologist, founder, and advocate who's built something most people in mental health haven't even attempted. Dr. Burns is the CEO and founder of Burns Virtual Psychological Solutions, a fully virtual practice that was born virtual, not forced online by a pandemic, and now serves patients across more than 40 states. She specializes in neurodevelopmental evaluations for autism and ADHD, provides psychological assessments for immigration and asylum cases, and runs evidence-based social skills programs for young adults. She has been a keynote speaker at Health 2.0 in Las Vegas, named a global game changer, a 2025 legacy maker, and has been featured in publications worldwide. Let's welcome Dr. Burns to our show.
Thank you so much. That was quite the intro. It's weird hearing everything that you've accomplished over time, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I think that's the whole purpose, right? Like when I say the introduction, I want them to feel that way because you did achieve a lot, and when someone else is saying about it, it just feels like good. I just want to start with a good note. So, can you share your journey and how it all began?
Sure. I'm originally from California, and I am now in San Antonio, Texas. And when I was in California, I worked in a bunch of different systems, right? So I worked in hospitals, including like the VA hospital, private practice. I did some community mental health. I was part of a research clinic. So I got to see a lot of the systems within these different settings. And when I moved to Texas, I quickly saw that there weren't a lot of resources for neurodivergent individuals, or sometimes I call them neurospicy individuals. And I also knew that with Texas being so big, there were a lot of rural areas and a lot of families that were just kind of stuck, geographically speaking. And so I was like, I really want to make my private practice virtual in order to kind of increase access to care. And so I was very intentional about that. So as you mentioned in the intro, my practice is 100% virtual. And because I'm in Texas, I'm able to practice under PsyPact, which allows me to reach the 40 plus states as well. So businesses, it's busy, right? Because of
Right.
all the places I can see folks in. And, I recently also started kind of offering some in-person testing as well for those who aren't comfortable with virtual. But I really wanted access to care to be at the forefront of my practice.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think the virtual is like so many people who are listening to this what might not be even thought about it. So it's a
Mhm.
good idea and to reach more and more people. So that's awesome. And whoever needs like a private session, you're basically flexible with that as well. So
Yes.
that's great, Dr. Burns. So what made you walk away from English literature into a therapy room? Because that's
Yeah.
like quite a pivot. So.
Right. Yeah. So I did my undergrad at UC Davis, and yeah, I got my Bachelor of Arts in English. When I was at UC Davis, I wanted to do so many things. But English has always kind of been one of my first loves. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll be a teacher, maybe I'll teach abroad. I was even thinking law school for a little bit. But then I also knew I always wanted to be a doctor. Like ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be like Dr. Jasmine. And so when I was at Davis, I chose English, especially with a concentration in like analytical thinking and writing,
Mhm.
because I felt like I could use that skill in many different settings.
Mhm.
And then I did teaching for a little bit as an after school teacher, and I liked it. I loved working with the kids, but I realized it wasn't quite what I wanted to do long term. It wasn't quite and so then while I was in Davis, I also did my minor in psychology. And in that minor, I was like, oh, this is it. Like this is what I want to do. I was I guess a trainee or volunteer, I guess you should say, at the UC Davis Mind Institute. And that's one of like the leading autism research clinics in the world. And I just fell in love with the work I was doing there. And so I knew I wanted to become a psychologist at that point. And so I started my graduate program in 2015, and it was an accelerated program. So by 2019, I graduated with my PsyD in clinical psychology, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. So it's kind of like, it's something like if you're going in one direction, and it doesn't have to be like you need to just because you chose it, you don't have to continue in that direction.
Right.
You can always turn around, and if something else, if you're not in love with something, you can always go back and try it again.
Yeah, you can always
Um,
pivot.
yeah, yeah, that's great. That's great that you did, and I'm glad whatever you're doing right now is helping a lot of other people. Plus, you're doing what you want to do, so that's a good
Absolutely.
thing.
Yes.
So why did you launch fully virtual in 2021? Is it just to reach more and more people or patients, or it's just something that you want to do for yourself?
Well, actually, when I started the practice, it was also I just moved to Texas, so was very new to the state. I had another job on the side, and so I didn't want to do like all in person for that job, and in person for my practice. I wanted some buffer, if you will, with virtual. I had a 2-month-old at the time. A lot was happening during that period of my life. And but again, the real goal was the access to care. And I think, during COVID, there was a lot of research and kind of movement done within the autism field that showed us like, yes, we actually can do work virtually. We continue to do research today, and it's proven like we can do autism evaluations online. It doesn't have to be in person. And I'm seeing patients of all ages, as little as 15 months all the way up to older adults.
Yeah.
And I'm still using evidence-based, assessments and everything like that. So COVID, while it was awful for many reasons, was also an enlightening time for autism.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, like everything works, right? Like you just need to try and
Yeah.
prove it for yourself. So, how do you emotionally prepare for an asylum evaluation?
So for asylum, oh, so that's a totally different like shift from autism, right? Because with autism, I can do play-based assessments. It's fun. I get to see the kids and their parents. It's great. For asylum and my other immigration evaluations, those are, for obvious reasons, more heavy hitting. Emotionally, there's more weight, if you will, behind the evals because sometimes our psychological evaluations can make or break a client's case, right? So to emotionally prepare, I just kind of go in knowing that I'm most likely going to hear some sad or some really dark things that have happened to people. I am trained in trauma-informed care, so I do have that background, which helps a lot for my immigration cases. And I just try to stay as present as possible with my patients during the evaluation, because essentially it's a clinical interview. But within that interview, they're telling me their story. And sometimes retelling a story can be re-traumatizing, re-triggering. And so I always tell my patients at the beginning of the appointment, like, we're going to go at your pace. So if you need a break to take some deep breaths, to go off camera and cry, or be on camera and cry, to get water, like whatever you need to do, please do. And I think by giving them that permission, if you will, it kind of eases the space a little bit, kind of decreases that anxiety. And I've gotten the feedback from my patients that I do create like this warm environment. And so it's easier for them to just kind of be honest and
That's interesting. So, what do you think about it? Like, how does it affect you when you're listening to some of the sad stories, and especially also with the younger children with ADHD or the, like autism? It's just it's also some kind of like sadness or some kind of uneasiness in the patients of the kids. I mean, children don't really know much. How do you really deal with that?
So, yeah, so I mean, that's a great question. So, when I'm doing my immigration cases, sometimes I mainly work with the parents, like the adults, but obviously sometimes their kids have like learning disabilities or autism or ADHD, which adds another layer of complication, if you will, to their case, right? And so I I have to be able to compartmentalize because I have two little ones at home, and I really try not to bring work into where my family is because then I'm not going to be an effective mother, I'm not going to be an effective wife. So I have to, after I finish an evaluation, I just sit. Like I just sit in silence or I listen to some like lo-fi music or classical music, something with not a lot of words so that I
Mm-hmm.
can just like reset my brain and my emotions. I've been doing this work for years now. So at this point, the cases they don't have as big of an emotional punch as they did when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, though, there are some cases that to this day, they'll just never leave me because I just heard about so much, like, honestly, like evil stuff that happened, like in those other countries. I mean, even
Mm-hmm.
stuff that's happened here, to the
Right.
client. So there are a few cases that will, I think, forever stick with me.
Yeah, that's very like really interesting, right? Like because for me, and again, like I don't have the education that you had, and I'm not a professional doing it. If someone even like says a little sad story or some kind of little, it just haunts me for
Yeah.
like days and months,
Yeah.
and I always thought about like I don't know if someone who's doing this on a professional basis, I
Mhm.
have no idea like what's going through their minds. And I
Yeah.
heard from one of my physician friend,
Mhm.
it's just they just exactly what you said. They leave whatever they heard at the office or your room or whatever, and once you step out of your room, you're a completely different person because
Yeah.
now yeah you have a family, you have kids. Yeah, I don't know how they turn that off and turn this on.
Yeah.
It's just I think there's like a lot of things that go. Maybe it was hard for you to, when you did for the first time, but again like eventually you get it. I think you kind of.
Yeah, and like I said, it was hard. And, I know because I have a lot of friends who do this work now. I even train clinicians on doing this work. And I do tell them up front, like, if you have never worked in like trauma cases before, or you've never been trained in trauma-informed care, this might be a gut punch at the very beginning, so do what you need to do. I even tell them in the training, like, if you need to, like, go take a bath after you do an evaluation to just like reset. But I do know that there are many professionals who do this work that go to therapy, like for themselves. Therapists need therapists, because we have to make sure that we're okay so that we can, take care of our clients and our patients.
Right.
And then for me personally, like my faith is really important to me. So that is what I lean to a lot when I do my work. I pray, I do all kinds of things to just like, again, really recenter myself. And that's helped me a lot over the
Yeah,
years.
yeah, no, I hear you. I think it's kind of like, yeah, a therapist needs therapists. Like, yeah, that's
Mhm.
true too. Because I mean, like, there are different stories, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, if it is, definitely, I agree. So, what went through your mind walking onto that stage at Caesar's Palace?
So this would have been in 2024 when I was the keynote. I was nervous. I was so nervous because I had done talks years before. Like I did a lot of talks in the community. I even was in DC, just in DC, talking to like policymakers and politicians about different bills and stuff that my
Mm-hmm.
and my organization was passionate about. But this was different, right? Like I was really talking to people who were in the field, and I had heard a bunch of keynotes up to that point in that conference, and mine was different, right? I really wanted to bring more awareness to autism and immigration work because there is a shortage of providers who do that work, especially across the lifespan. Like I said, I work with littles all the way up to the older, adult population. Practitioners, especially who do autism and ADHD work, they either work with little kids or they work with teens or they work with
Right.
adults. Like it's hard to find someone who does it all.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really wanted to shed light on kind of the need right now. And then of course bring some education to the audience about like what is autism, what is ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
what is integration work.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of positive feedback from the audience, just, not only thanking me for my work, but just, also because I was bringing awareness to the need.
Yeah, that's great, Dr. Burns. So I don't know if you want me to call Dr. Jasmine,
Oh, it's
because that's
whichever
your.
is fine. Yeah, whatever.
So just so you know, I think before I actually talked to you first time, I
Yeah.
did listen to that speech, and you did great.
Thank you.
And I was because I was a little bit nervous, like, oh, I need to do a podcast with her, and she's like, she rocked on that stage. So I was like, oh
So
wow.
sweet. You're so
So
sweet.
yeah, I just wanted to tell you because the
Thank
topic
you.
came. So how do you hire your people in your clinics, and you never share an office with? How do you hire them?
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny that you asked this because I was just talking to someone the other day about the importance of, and this might sound silly, but there's kind of a vibe check that a person needs to pass before I bring them on to my team. And this is actually a term that some of my staff have kind of coined, and I'm just like, I use it now because it's kind of funny to me. But because, like you said, we are not in the same space, a lot of us are working from home. I have staff in California, I have staff in Texas, I had staff in New York at one point. So we're all scattered. And so I do two sets of interviews, so if they pass the first round, then I go to round two. And I actually like to do role plays in my interviews to just kind of see how people will handle certain situations, like if there's a patient that's being rude, or if there's an emotional patient or a patient in
Mm,
crisis. And by doing these role plays, I get to see how the potential employee acts in the moment, right? Because you kind of have to think on your toes, and
right.
even in real life, like when you're doing this work, and especially being virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I also like to learn about the potential employees, like just their personal life. What are they into? What makes them laugh? What
Mm-hmm.
do they do in their downtime? Because my thing is that I'm hiring a person. I'm not
Right.
hiring just a number. I'm not hiring a robot. So I want to make sure that whoever I'm bringing onto the team knows how to have fun, right?
Right.
Within my practice, it's just kind of naturally come up where a lot of us are moms of young kids, of young boys, which is we all have like boys, which is really funny.
Yeah.
And so I always tell my staff, family comes first. And so I try to model that. I went to the 2.0 conference again, actually a few weeks ago, and it was at the Bellagio this time. But that was one of the things that I talked about on a panel that I was on when we were talking about empathy and leadership. I was like, as a leader, we have to model the behaviors that we want our staff to do, right? To use. And so if I'm having a hard day with my sons, I tell my team, I'm like, look, I need to take like a mental break for like 30 minutes. Bear with me. And so
Mm-hmm.
they know that they can do that with me.
Right.
And I kind of talk about that up front during the interview process. So
Yeah.
once the person passes that vibe check and that, of course, they have the clinical skills, they're most likely going to make it to the team.
That's awesome. So I'm not in the same field, but I have two boys. So
Oh, see,
I
you
don't
know.
know. Yeah, but I'm not a qualified person. I will
Well,
cry
you're a
whenever
mom,
someone
so yeah. How old are your boys?
5 and a 3.
Okay, so yeah, so I have 4 and 18 months. So you get it. You get it. Mhm.
So what's the revenue mix between insurance billing and private pay?
Yeah, oh, that's the question. So when I first started, I wasn't taking insurance because honestly, I had heard a lot of horror stories and I'm not gonna lie, I was like afraid to even open that door.
Mm-hmm.
But again, for me, it's access to care. So I decided to take on a few commercial insurances as well as, like TRICARE,
Mm-hmm.
because I knew that people just were not able to pay out of pocket. Everyone's kind of struggling right now for different reasons in different ways. And so, like I said, I take, just a few commercial insurances, but that's made a big difference. And I even had, a third party biller who was looking at my numbers because I was like, yes, I'm helping people. I'm getting them in the door, but I'm also running a business. So am I losing money like taking on insurance? And she was like, actually, you're not, So I loved hearing that because I think that practitioners in different fields hear insurance and they automatically think, I'm going to lose money. I'm not going to make money. And yeah, you're not going to make as much money as private pay, of course, right? But it is possible to make revenue. So right now I have a mix, right, of my insurance patients, my private pay patients. I still have that access to care. And my thing is, if I don't take insurance, I'll offer a super bill, which is like an itemized receipt so that people can try to submit the bill to their insurance for at least partial reimbursement. I help them find a provider who does take their insurance. I don't like people leaving my doors, my virtual doors, without
Right.
some kind of step in the right direction. Anybody who comes to, in contact with my practice, we're helping in some shape or form.
Yeah, that's a great insight. Like whoever listening to this, if they're planning to start a business, I think that's a great insight because again, like they'll be probably in your shoes where, yeah, I don't know if I go with the insurance, but which one do you prefer though?
In terms of, do I prefer taking insurance or taking private pay?
You're right. Yeah.
So I prefer taking private pay simply because it's easier. With insurance, I'm not gonna lie, it's very frustrating interacting with insurance. And I have, like I said, I have a third party biller because I do not have the bandwidth or even the expertise to manage all of that. I can't tell. Like she'll message me and and she's great. Like I love her to death, but she's very transparent. She's like, I've been on the phone for an hour on hold just trying to get an answer about this claim. Or, insurance is weird and they'll sometimes approve, some testing codes. And then we submit the claim and then they're like, oh, we're not going to pay you. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
wait a minute. You just, so there's all
Yeah.
these, there's kind of like a lot that you have to be able to manage. And that's why if you are listening and you take insurance, I highly recommend getting a biller to do it because it just takes so much time and energy to handle those situations.
Yeah, that's a great advice. So yeah, I think thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So which growth channel has surprised you the most?
Sorry, can we repeat the question?
So which growth channel has surprised you the most?
Like in terms of like what services surprise me in terms of what people are
Right.
interested in. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good question. I don't know if I've actually been surprised at any of them because I really try to keep an eye on current events. And so I know that immigration is a big thing right now, right? Autism, neurodivergence, period, seems to be like a really big thing, like especially on social media. You're seeing all these videos on like TikTok, for example, of like, how I knew I was autistic or, I
Right.
just a late diagnosis of autism or ADHD. So these are, hot button topics right now. And I know that, or I've noticed, and I think this is the part that's kind of surprised me more, depending on how things are going in the country, has really impacted the flow of my business, like a huge deal. So that's why I have to kind of keep an eye on current events to see like, okay, the floodgates are about to open. Like, so I just have to warn my team because we're a pretty small practice, like in terms of the number of employees, there's less than 10 of us. And we're managing all of this stuff. And then on top of that, I'm a training site as well. So I'm bringing on students to do things as well. So we're pretty small. Anyway, so yeah, I do think that's the biggest surprise is just how in tune my practice has had to become with the current events.
Okay. Okay. And you brought up the TikTok videos and all that,
Mhm.
right? So are you guys doing any marketing to create an awareness to the people about the services that you're providing?
Yes, we're not on TikTok, but we are on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. and we're on Instagram. And the timing of this podcast was actually pretty great because just, was it yesterday? No, 2 nights ago, or 2 days ago, excuse me. I had put out some feelers on some groups that I'm on Facebook, and I'm on a lot of mom groups. But
Hmm.
I basically was like, I've been seeing a lot of honestly misinformation out there on social media about autism, ADHD, interventions, therapies, diagnosing as a whole. And so I asked, I was like, would anyone be interested in me doing community talks? Because, like I mentioned earlier, like I did that a lot in California, but since moving here, I haven't been able to do that as much as I would like to.
Hmm.
Anyway, the overwhelming number of comments that I got in private messages, like, yes, please do this. Like, can I get evaluated through you? I mean, the outpour was amazing. And so the desire for information is there. So
Hmm.
that's actually what I'm working on next is developing a series of community talks virtually and in person to just basically provide education to families, but also have that dialogue between provider
Right.
and families as well.
Yeah, and you actually post this on the social media, so you do it?
Yeah, so I
Okay.
post to it, but I also have, I mean, like I said, it's a small team. So there's
Hmm.
one or two other employees who actively
Manage.
post to the social medias.
Okay, okay, yeah, because I think like the social media is the place where when whatever you want to say out and get like an huge outreach,
Hmm.
I think that's like the spot right now because
Yes.
everyone is on Facebook, everyone is on Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah.
It's like it spreads
Yeah,
like
very quickly.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
So what's the biggest operational headache you haven't solved yet?
Well, I mean, for me right now, it's going back to insurance. I feel like it, and I tell this to my team, it feels like the Wild West with insurance. It's like sometimes they'll approve some things, sometimes, other times they'll deny other things. And there just honestly doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it. We have these contracts that we get when we credential and whatnot, but it still feels like they just kind of do what they want to do. So that is still like this operational nightmare that I don't even know if that's ever going to stop, to be honest. I'm on other groups and, all providers are going through the same thing. There's been like recent billing conventions that have changed, but no information really gets put out about it. So you won't find out about the change until you're denied. And then
Hmm.
they're like, oh, by the way, this changed. And it's like, oh, well, would have been nice to know that. So I think that's just something that I'm always going to have to deal with by taking insurance. But
Right.
I don't want to stop taking it because I want to make sure people have access to me. So it's just a nightmare I'll live with. I'll be okay with it. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think it's kind of like if someone can like solve that problem from the insurance
that'd
side,
be great.
that'll be yeah, that'll be great, and they should because if the provider is feeling, if you're feeling it, I think everyone is feeling the same pain,
Oh, yeah.
and again, like if they want more providers to
Yes,
go through them, I think they should probably do it. And
that is it.
is it
Yeah.
all the insurance companies or it's like the few that you're working with?
Some are better than others. Being completely virtual, there are some insurances that they're just denying virtual testing, just flat out. Denying it. And then, they'll tell people to go to these other providers who are in person, but a lot of these in-person providers have a wait list. I don't have a wait list because we have
Hmm.
these processes we put into place that just kind of work. And so it's unfortunate because essentially what's happening is insurance is dictating our patients' care. And it
Right.
shouldn't be that way. It should be the other way around. Patients should
Hmm.
have control over their care. And that is something that I'm really passionate about. And it is upsetting. I do talk to other providers, like we need to advocate. I mentioned earlier, like I went to DC. I want to go back. Like I want to get into the ears of our, policymakers because a lot of people who are making these decisions, they don't know what we deal with day to day, right? They're
Hmm.
not professionals or experts in the field. And
Hmm.
so I think as a mental health field, we need to start advocating more on behalf of not just ourselves, but essentially on behalf of our patients too. Yeah.
Right. So, what does the technology already show up in your clinical workflow today?
Yeah, so we use Asana and I love, love, love it because it allows us to use automations.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're seeing so many patients across so many states and testing has so many parts to it, sending out measures, making sure there's follow-up, receiving the measures, scheduling, seeing the parent, the patients, doing the report, doing the feedbacks. There's
Mm-hmm.
just a lot of moving pieces. And so within Asana, it utilizes AI, which sometimes we use to like create subtasks, but we've kind of set it up in a way like ourselves where the automations just flow based off of the subtasks that get completed. So that's a big thing that we're using right now. For our EHR, we're using Sessions Health, so it's HIPAA compliant. Everything that we use, including Asana, is like HIPAA compliant.
Mm-hmm.
Even all the way down to like our Google Workspace,
Mm-hmm.
it's HIPAA compliant. We have extra securities in place for email. Like I don't play when it comes to HIPAA. I always try to go above and beyond to make sure that our patients' information is protected.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the big things that we're using right now in terms of tech. But I also use other AI as well to manage more of the report writing flow. One of the things that I like to use is Chat GPT, which is not HIPAA compliant. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't put any like identifying information in that. But I've been playing around with it because I really like using it to create templates and tables.
Mm-hmm.
My team, I've taught my team, like, I came into the practice already with a lot of templates that I kind of created over the years, but I kind of taught them how to use AI to maybe tighten up certain templates or to create their own tables that they want to use. We don't use AI to diagnose because that's our job. I went to school, took out loans. I need to know how to diagnose, right?
Right.
Now, I do know that there are providers out there who use AI to diagnose.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak to that because
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, that is something that we use. It does kind of help speed up the process of our reports because I do write comprehensive reports for my clients.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, we're always reviewing everything. We're not just letting AI take it and just create the whole report.
Right.
So we kind of use AI as a tool. It's not like it doesn't do everything. It's just a helpful tool.
Yeah, that's all I say. Like AI, just use it as a tool.
Yeah,
Don't just rely on it because
exactly.
you need to have human in the loop always. So yeah, I think that's great that you started using AI, and especially with the HIPAA compliant stuff, you need to follow the regulations, you need to follow the compliance, and
Yes.
make sure you're protected in that way. So
Yes.
yeah, that's awesome to hear that. So if you could automate one admin task tomorrow, which one would you pick?
You have great questions. Let's see. I would say follow up. If I could somehow create just like a system where AI knows that after like a day or two, we haven't made contact with the patient for whatever reason, AI would just automatically reach out to that patient. And be like, hey, we're still waiting on your insurance card, or we're waiting for
Mm-hmm.
you to, complete these measures. That would be great. I mean, I even recently had to hire a third admin assistant because things have gotten so busy with the practice. And she's great. I mean, I'm not mad that I had to hire her,
Mm-hmm.
but that is one of the main points of feedback that I get from the admin team is that follow-up can be so hard because there's so many people.
So how many people are we talking about here?
Like how many patients?
How many patients that you need to follow up and go back and forth with them?
So I'd have to look. I
I
want
mean,
to
like
say,
the random number.
yeah, I want to say right now we're in between like 20 and 30, which doesn't sound like a lot. It's big again when you're doing testing and there's all those moving pieces
Mm-hmm.
for different ages because our systems are different depending on the age as well.
Right.
It does end up being a lot. And then you add and I'm just talking about autism and ADHD there,
Right.
but then you add the other like immigration clients that we have on top of that. A lot of our clients don't speak English.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what type of service they actually need, so they need us to call their attorney. So then
Mm-hmm.
we have to do back and forth with the attorney, and then get an interpreter to then communicate with the our migrant clients. So yeah, there's a lot of follow-up, a lot of moving
Huh.
pieces.
Yeah, so the admins are doing, is it through email communication or is it like a phone call or what?
So we try to do phone call, email, and text because we know that a lot of our neurodivergent clients are really uncomfortable talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so we try to meet our clients where they are. And so because of that, we do a lot of back and forth emails and texts. That's just kind of what they prefer. But then our immigration clients, they prefer a mix of different things. But typically we try to do email and phone call with them.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so the final last question
Mhm.
that I have, and how do you think about AI in a field built entirely on human connection?
Think AI has a place in it. I feel like it's more on the admin side. I don't think, and I've been hearing that this is kind of where some organizations are moving towards. I don't think we're at a place, and I don't honestly think we should ever be in a place where we're using AI as therapists. Um, there are so many nuanced things that happen within a therapy session.
Hmm.
I don't do talk therapy anymore, but I did do therapy for quite some time. So I know like there are just things that AI just cannot pick up on.
Yeah.
And I honestly think it could be a little bit of a dangerous precedent to use AI as therapists, but it can definitely help with notes, like I said, templates, reports. If mental health providers can use AI as a tool, not something
Hmm.
to rely on, like you mentioned, but just like a tool,
Hmm.
um, I think it could be really helpful within the field of mental health, even business planning. If you have a private practice and you don't even know where to start, because I get that question a lot. I do
Hmm.
coaching and consultation on the side. You can use AI as like a sounding board. Like, this is my idea for the practice. What do you think, ChatGPT? And
Hmm.
then have a conversation, if you will, with it. So it can help a lot. It just
Hmm.
shouldn't be our therapist.
Yeah, no, I think for the therapist, it needs the personal touch. It needs the emotion.
Absolutely.
For someone who's like really going through some kind of trauma,
Yeah,
you need the person needs to understand that this other person that I'm sitting with, they understand my pain. So
exactly.
I think that cannot be recreated with AI.
Mm.
Absolutely. Definitely with you. I mean, there
Yeah.
are some things that you can use AI to
Mhm.
make your lives easier, but
Mhm.
again, yeah, the job that you're doing is like
Mhm.
it can be done.
Yeah,
Even
absolutely.
even someone says that it can be done, and yeah, just try it. I don't think so. I
There's
don't
already
believe
been
in
so
it.
many red flag issues that have come up with people trying to use it that I've even heard in my personal circles. And I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
don't listen to that advice, please. So
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for your generous time
thank
today,
you.
Dr. Burns. I think we definitely heard all the insights. Whoever wants to or is thinking of starting the business, I think they're great insights that you have given us. So where can our listeners find you?
So my practice is again Burns Virtual Psychological Solutions. You can just pop that into Google. You can find me. But if you do want my web address, it's www.bvpsychsolutions.com. I'm also, like I said, on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn. Just Google Burns Virtual Psychological Solutions or Jazmin Burns, so Jazmin, and you'll definitely find me. I'm all over the internet now from all of these presentations I've been doing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Burns, for your time today.
Thank you so much. You take care. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks.